Welcome to this deep dive. Our mission today is pretty straightforward. Quickly get you up to speed on some significant AI developments we're drawing from all the news and research findings you've given us.
Exactly. And what's really interesting this time is just how, well, varied these sources are. We'll touch on big tech using AI internally, look at new products.
But also some heavier topics.
Definitely. Environmental concerns, social equity issues tied to AI infrastructure, and then almost a complete flip, a really positive story about AI and conservation.
So think of this as like your shortcut. We'll pull out the key insights, the important stuff, so you're informed without wading through everything yourself.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's jump in. First up, Meta. Something going on internally there.
Yeah, this is about how they're planning, apparently, to use AI to automate a really big portion of their product risk assessments.
Automated risk assessments. How much are we talking?
Well, the sources, like NPR citing internal documents, suggest an AI system could end up handling maybe up to 90% of updates for apps like Instagram, WhatsApp, the big ones.
90%. Wow. And this isn't just about speed, right? There's some background here.
Absolutely. It connects back to a 2012 deal Meta, well, Facebook back then, made with the FTC.
Ah, the privacy review requirement.
That's the one. Mandated privacy and safety reviews for product updates. Humans used to do a lot of that heavy lifting.
So the new process, as described, is like product teams fill out a form.
Right, questionnaire, and then bam, the AI gives an instant decision. It supposedly flags risks, sets requirements, all before launch.
Okay, so the upside is obvious. Speed. Meta gets updates out faster.
For sure, speed's crucial in tech. But, there's a but. A former executive, quoted by NPR in these sources, raises a red flag. They argue this automation brings higher risks.
Higher risks how?
Their point seems to be it makes it less likely that the system will catch those subtle negative side effects. The unintended consequences that a human might...
Sorry, the nuances. Things that maybe need, like ethical sensitivity or just broader context that an AI might miss, especially at scale.
Exactly. What gets lost when you swap human judgment for automation in areas like safety and privacy? That's the core concern voiced there.
What does Meta say? I assume they have a position.
They do. The source material includes their statement. They mention investing over $8 billion in their privacy program, being committed to their obligations.
And they frame the AI use how?
They say they use tech like AI for consistency and predictability, mainly for what they see as low-risk updates. But they emphasize they still rely on human expertise for the really novel or complex issues.
Trying to draw a line. Though, critics might question where that line really falls if the goal is 90% automation.
That's precisely the tension,
Yeah.
and it matters because, well, these are apps millions, maybe billions of people use every day.
So, faster updates, but maybe. Potentially. Unforeseen risks slipping through. That's what we need to watch.
That seems to be the takeaway from these reports, yeah.
Okay, let's shift from internal company stuff to something you could actually put on your phone. Google's AI Edge Gallery app. This sounds new.
It is, and it's kind of an interesting direction. It's an Android app, they say iOS is coming, that lets you download and run AI models locally.
Locally meaning?
Right on your phone,
Yeah.
using its own processor, no internet needed, works offline.
Okay, that's a big deal. Offline capability plus privacy. Right. No data sent to the cloud.
Exactly. You can generate images, ask questions, write code, edit code, all the things listed in the sources, all happening just on your device.
Bypasses those cloud concerns.
Totally. Cloud models are often more powerful, sure, but they need internet, and there's always that question about data privacy. Local AI avoids that.
But it's early days. The sources call it an experimental alpha release.
Yeah, very much experimental. But the interface described sounds pretty user-friendly, like home screen shortcuts, lists of models for different tasks.
They mentioned Google's Gemma 3N model.
Right, the 3N signifies it's a smaller version optimized for phones, and there's a prompt lab for trying out what they call single-turn tasks.
Single turn like. Ask one thing, get one answer.
Basically, yeah, summarize this, rewrite that, not a continuous chat, just quick tasks with templates and settings you can tweak.
Is there a catch? Performance, maybe?
Well, yeah, the sources mention that. Performance will vary. Depends on your phone's chip, how powerful it is, and the size of the AI model you choose. Bigger models might run slower on older phones. Makes sense.
And Google's inviting feedback.
They are. And interestingly, the app's under an Apache 2.0 license.
Which means for developers.
It's pretty open. Developers can generally use it, change it, even build commercial things with it quite freely.
So this is a glimpse of potentially interacting with AI differently, more private, always available even offline, could be a significant shift for how you use these tools.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. Okay, ready to shift gears again completely.
Let's do it. Where are we going now?
South Memphis.
Yeah.
We need to talk about XAI's data center there, the one called Colossus, and some serious environmental justice concerns being raised.
Right. I saw reports on this. The NAACP is involved?
Very involved. Sources like NBC News detail a letter the NAACP sent. They're calling out local officials, the county health department, Memphis Light, Gas, and Water for what they call a lackadaisical approach.
To what, specifically?
Yeah.
Alleged violations at the XAI site.
Exactly, environmental violations. And the NAACP isn't mincing words. They're demanding an emergency order to halt operations entirely.
Halt everything. Or at least
Cite the company and stop what they allege are ongoing clean air law violations.
And the source of the problem, according to them, is...
Gas turbines, the things powering the facility.
Okay, and there's a permit issue mentioned.
A big one, yeah. The NAACP alleges XAI ran at least 35 gas turbines without any permitting for the past year. They apparently only applied for a permit for 15.
But didn't the city say something about permits not being needed initially?
That's part of the contention. Sources mentioned city officials reportedly said permits weren't required for the first year. The NAACP clearly disagrees strongly with that interpretation or allowance.
And the environmental impact they're alleging from these turbines.
Significant stuff. Hazardous air pollutants, including formaldehyde, potentially exceeding EPA limits, plus nitrogen oxide emissions, things you really don't want floating around.
And the NAACP connects this to the location.
Very strongly. They point out the facility is near Boxtown, which they describe as a historically black community.
So they're framing it as an environmental justice issue.
Explicitly, they argue it fits a pattern of polluting industries being placed near communities of color who then bear the environmental burden.
Did they mention specific health risks?
Yeah, the letter reportedly highlights that cancer risks in that specific area are already something like 4 times the national average.
Wow.
And they accuse the health department of, quote, allowing XAI to operate above the law instead of working to reduce those existing health problems.
So the letter went to the health department director and the utility commissioners.
That's right. It's crucial to state this is the NAACP's position, their claims, as reported in the sources we have.
It's a stark reminder, isn't it? AI isn't just code, it's physical infrastructure, data centers, power generation. And that has real-world consequences for specific communities.
Absolutely. It forces that question. Who bears the cost of progress? Where does this infrastructure go? And who deals with the potential fallout?
Okay, that's a heavy but important one.
Yeah.
Let's end on something different. You mentioned a positive application. Conservation.
Yeah, let's head to the Arctic for this one. It's a really fascinating use of AI sea ice forecasting to help protect caribou.
Caribou. How does AI help them?
Well, a new study, detailed in the sources, shows how predicting sea ice conditions with AI can help safeguard the migration routes of the dolphin and Union caribou. They're an endangered population in the Canadian Arctic.
And who's behind this work?
It's quite a collaboration. The British Antarctic Survey, the Alan Turing Institute, WWF, and the government of Nunavut. So scientific groups, conservationists, and local government working together.
What's the threat they're facing? I assume climate change is part of it?
A huge part. The Arctic's warming, 4 times faster than elsewhere, so the sea ice is less stable, it's shrinking, and then you add increased shipping, more ice-breaking ships.
Which messes up their migration.
Badly. These caribou migrate twice a year across the sea ice between the mainland and Victoria Island. They need that ice to be solid, especially in the fall when they head south.
But the ice isn't reliable anymore.
Less reliable, yeah. And the icebreakers create open water channels. So, tragically, more caribou are dying during the crossing because the ice quality is poor or their path is literally cut off.
That's awful. And these animals are important locally.
Incredibly important, vital to the culture and livelihoods of the Inuit and Inuvialuit people there. Their fate is tied to the caribou.
So how does the AI tool actually work?
It's clever. It takes satellite data, pictures of the ice, combines it with GPS tracking data from the caribou themselves.
So they know where the caribou are trying to go.
Exactly. And then it uses AI forecasting to predict when the sea ice will actually be strong enough and stable enough for that autumn migration. It gives them an early warning each year.
And this AI forecasting model, it's reliable.
Apparently, yes. It builds on something called IceNet, which the sources say can predict sea ice extent pretty accurately up to 3 months out. Better than older methods.
3 months ahead. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's trained on loads of satellite data. They even use it for ship navigation, like for the research ship Sir David Attenborough.
So the practical outcome is,
The AI provides information that helps local agencies make informed and dynamic decisions, like maybe recommending short-term limits on ice-breaking ships right when the Caribou need to cross.
helping clear the path, basically.
Kind of, yeah, but, and this is really stressed in the study, it's not about replacing local knowledge.
Ah, good point.
The Inuit and Inuvialuit people have invaluable, deep understanding. The AI is presented as another tool, a powerful piece of information to be used alongside their expertise.
That makes sense. Are they thinking of using it for other animals, too?
They are. The sources mention exploring it for polar bears, like predicting when they might get close to communities to help avoid conflict, and maybe for walrus conservation, too.
The people involved seem pretty positive about it.
Definitely. Quotes in the sources really reinforce that. BAS talking about AI leading to real conservation results. The Turing Institute emphasizing the Arctic warming context and getting tools to local experts. WWF highlighting the need to plan amidst the climate crisis and AI's role.
It really is a hopeful example. AI directed thoughtfully, combined with human expertise, tackling a serious conservation challenge driven by climate change.
Absolutely. So quite a journey today, huh? We went from Meta's internal AI for risk assessment with all those potential user impacts,
To Google putting AI tools right on your phone, offering more privacy and offline use.
then the really serious environmental justice debate sparked by XAI's data center infrastructure.
And finishing with this genuinely inspiring use of AI forecasting to help endangered caribou in the Arctic.
It just shows how AI is weaving itself into, well, everything, changing how giant companies work, creating new tools for us, raising profound ethical and environmental questions, and also offering solutions for complex problems like conservation.
Our aim here was just to give you that clear snapshot, those key insights from across this really diverse AI landscape, nice and quick.
And maybe it leaves you thinking, as AI keeps accelerating and spreading everywhere, who gets to set the agenda? Who decides where these powerful systems are developed, where the infrastructure goes, and ultimately, how are the benefits and the burdens shared across all of society and across the planet?
Something definitely worth mulling over.